So, New Japan Pro Wrestling had a pay-per-view over the weekend, New Japan Resurgence, live from Long Beach, California. And we're here to talk about it. So, my name is JustinRitch, and welcome to JustinRitch Talks, New Japan Pro Wrestling Resurgence. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and we are here to talk some wrestling. Yes, New Japan Pro Wrestling had a pay-per-view over the weekend, New Japan Resurgence. So we're here to break it down with our 4-point play. Basically, if you need a fresh reminder of what our 4-point play is, it's 3 things that we liked about the pay-per-view. One thing I didn't like about the pay-per-view, our match recommendation, and our pay-per-view rating on a scale of 5 mics, 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. So the first thing that I liked about this pay-per-view was we had 3 women's matches on the card. Yes, which is a humongous deal for New Japan Pro Wrestling. This is the first year where they're expanding out into new territory and creating a women's division. Usually it was just all men, and you had Stardom and other promotions that focus on the women. But starting last year where they created the IWGP Women's Championship, and it carried over into the beginning of this year where said championship was defended at Wrestle Kingdom, which is New Japan Pro Wrestling's version of WrestleMania in the beginning of January, which was a huge deal. And that's where Mercedes Moné, one of the main competitors on this pay-per-view this weekend, and arguably the greatest women's wrestler in the world, made her debut. And now we fast forward to this past weekend where we had a tournament to crown the newly created New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Women's Championship. You have Mercedes Moné, like I said, arguably the GOAT. You have Willow Nightingale. You have Momo Kohgo, and you have Stephanie Vaquer. And then we had 2 matches. You have Mercedes and Stephanie going at it in one match. You have Willow and Momo going at it in the other match. And the winners of both matches will face off in the main event of this pay-per-view for the newly created title, which is a huge deal because we were like, wait, you couldn't even get 1 women match on a New Japan Pro Wrestling pay-per-view. Now you got 3? Yes, we got 3. So Mercedes ended up beating Stephanie in the semifinals, and Willow ended up beating Momo in her match to end up getting Mercedes and Willow as our main event. But we'll come back to that one. So the first thing I like about this pay-per-view was multiple women's matches on the card for a company that is still learning how to do women's matches and also embrace women's wrestling and put multiple matches on their card. So the second thing I liked about this pay-per-view was 6 men, 1 ring. So we had John Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, and Shota Umino in a match, a 6-man tag match against Kazuchika Okada, Tomohiro Ishii, and Rocky Romero, which is a huge deal because you have Okada, who is considered to be one of the best in the world, one of the greatest wrestlers on the planet. You have Moxley, who is one of the top stars in AEW. You have Shota, who's been a young buck, someone that's coming into his own this year that learned under Moxley and learned under Okada, learned under a lot of these OGs in New Japan. And really, this is like Shota really showing like, I belong with these 6 guys. Rocky Romero, a vet that's been around the block. Wheeler Yuta, someone that AEW fans know and have seen him work plenty of times. And Ishii, who was like 105 and still kicking ass in the New Japan Pro Wrestling ring. And this match was phenomenal. This had a lot of energy. This had a lot of action. You had Okada trying to establish dominance against Shota to let him know, yo, I see you, young lion. You ain't a young lion no more. You a young buck, but I am that guy. And I'm going to establish my dominance and let you know, like, yo, you want to be that guy, you got to go through me. I'm not about to let you just take this. And then you have Moxley just asserting his will and letting people know, like, yo, I am that wild card. You're going to get these middle fingers. Yes, I'm going to get in Okada's face when Okada's trying to do his Rainmaker pose and be like, yo, you're not about to hit that shit on me. This is not how we go. And then Ishii is about to lay all them chops and stiffness and that show off that strong style that he's well known for. But in the end, you had Shota getting the pin over the vet, Rocky Romero, and getting the victory for Team Moxley. And this was just a fantastic match. This was very energetic. And this is one that's like very highly recommended, but we're going to get to that later. So that's the second thing I liked about this pay-per-view was the 6-man tag match. The third thing that I liked about this pay-per-view was Juice and Rosser taking it to the streets. Now, these guys have been at each other's throats for a minute. So Rosser has basically been talking that shit to Juice Robinson and basically taunting him and also like, yo, where's your significant other who happens to be Toni Storm? Yes, AEW's Toni Storm. Like, where's your girl at? Tell her to pull up. And Juice wasn't having that. He's like, yo, keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth on some Will Smith shit. So we finally get to the pay-per-view where we just have ourselves a good old-fashioned street fight. And man, these two beat the absolute shit out of each other. Juice gets busted open. He has the crimson mask all over his face. And it's just like, yo, is he all right? Like, when I tell you they beat the fuck out of each other, they throw trash. They throw trash cans. They use stop signs. They use all types of shit to where Juice's significant other, Toni Storm, ends up pulling up, gets in the ring, confronts Rosser, gets in his face. Rosser tries to back her off. Rosser even kisses her as like a, yo, I'm going to distract you. I'm about to hit you with some Ric Flair shit. And it ends up being a handicap match because Toni wasn't having it. And neither was Juice. So now you have a 2-on-1 between Juice Robinson and Toni Storm versus Rosser where the tables turned. Rosser was beating the shit out of Juice, and now Juice is getting the upper hand thanks to his wife. And with that said, Juice picks up the victory over Rosser in a very brutal, very nasty street fight that I was highly entertained from start to end, to where I'm not the biggest Juice Robinson fan, and Rosser, this is the first time I'm really getting put onto him. Toni Storm I know, but Toni Storm, she works in AEW. This is the first time I'm seeing her really in a New Japan ring like that. And it's like, hey, yo, she actually pulled up? Holy shit. But, I mean, Juice is her man. Of course, you got to defend your man. So this is the third thing I liked about this card was that street fight. Now, let's get to one thing I didn't like about this card. Countouts. We're winning titles by countouts? Countouts? Yes, countouts. So Hikuleo and KENTA had a match for Hikuleo's title to where they were beating the absolute shit out of each other. Now, granted, countouts was like one of a couple things I didn't like about this match. So there's a point in this match where KENTA and Hikuleo battle up the apron and go back through the entranceway and through the curtain, and they're just beating the shit out of each other where we can't see because the cameras can't go back there for some odd reason. And because the cameras don't go back there, it's like 2-3 minutes where we're just like, what the fuck is happening? The announcers are trying to tell us what's happening, but we can't see it. You can't really hear it. You don't really see any movement. It's just like, so we're just left to our own devices here? Okay. Mind you, this is a pay-per-view. This is live. There's no edits, no nothing going on. This is like, yeah, they disappeared for like 2-3 minutes and we're just like, okay. And then eventually KENTA comes out looking, you know, a little tired, but at the same time, like, rejuvenated. Hikuleo comes out, and his legs a little banged up, but it's like, yo, what the hell happened back there that you guys were gone for like 2-3 minutes? Did y'all kiss? Did y'all fight? Did KENTA beat the hell out of Hikuleo's leg? Like, what the hell was going on? And then another thing I didn't like about this match was the table spot. Now, I love me some tables. I'm a huge Dudley Boys fan. I grew up on them tables and people going through tables. But to set up a table on the floor, and mind you, the floor was like, this was like a basketball stadium. So you had the basketball wooden floors. I played basketball many years. I've fallen on those basketball floors. That shit hurts. And that's just like regular basketball contact. So you're about to go take a bump through a table with no padding to where your back or whatever is going to hit that basketball floor. Why? And then these two get the genius idea of like, you know what? Just going through a regular table ain't enough. We got to go higher. because these are New Japan tables. I am the table, and the tables sometimes do not break in New Japan. You can throw a 350-pound man through here and be like, "Nope, I am the table. I will stand strong." So these guys get the genius idea of, you know what, we're gonna go into the crowd and brawl up the damn bleachers to where we're about 5-10 feet off the floor and off the tables, to where Hikuleo's gonna try to put Kenta through a table. Mind you, there again, no padding underneath the table. So if Kenta goes through that table, he's gonna hit straight floor and wood. And if the table doesn't break, that's even gonna hurt worse. But instead, Kenta turns the tables on Hikuleo, and Hikuleo goes through the table. Ow! Again, why would y'all go through this bump? But I throw a little leeway for them, because it ends up playing into the finish where Kenta and Hikuleo on the outside. The ref's like, you know what? I've had enough of both y'all shit. I'm just gonna count y'all out. 1, 2, 3, and then in New Japan they have a 20 count instead of a 10 count. So they have until 20 to get back in the ring. Otherwise, count out. So while the ref is counting to 20, Kenta crawls and crawls and crawls his way back into the ring to where he gets in the ring before count 20, but Hikuleo can't. And mind you, Hikuleo's the champ. So the ref calls for the bell, and we have a new champion in Kenta via countout over Hikuleo. What? Countout? So in New Japan, yes, you can lose the title via countout. That's the difference between New Japan and, like, let's say WWE, where like title can only change hands on pinfalls and submissions. Countouts don't do nothing. Disqualifications do nothing. Whereas in New Japan, you can lose your title on the countout, and we just saw it here. And I was just like, wait, this is what we're doing? Countouts? Wasn't the biggest fan of that, but I mean, to each his own, and it is what it is. So we here now. Kenta is your new champion, and countouts, man. So that was the only thing I really didn't like from this pay-per-view. Now, if you ask me what my match recommendation is on this pay-per-view that had Tanahashi, that had Ospreay, that had the 6-man tag match, that had this Kenta Hikuleo countout, that had 3 women's matches on the card, and then so many other matches that just delivered. But if I only had to pick one, if someone asked me like, yo, Jay, I'm not the biggest fan of New Japan, but I'm gonna give this a shot. What's the one match you want I should pull up? What's the one that you recommend? And so the one that I recommend on this show is your main event, Mercedes Moné versus Willow Nightingale, for the inaugural New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Women's Championship. And it's for the reasons that I talked about earlier, where Mercedes is arguably the greatest women's wrestler on the planet. Willow is one of the best doing it right now, but still trying to make a name for herself, even though she is a vet of the game. You have this title on the line, so now the stakes are added. Willow has gone on wax and said Mercedes is one of her dream matches. She would love to face Mercedes Moné. Mercedes has gone on wax many a times and being like, yo, I'm trying to put women's wrestling on another echelon. And whatever I can do to do that, I'm going to do. So we get a great match, a dream match, a match that was so highly anticipated when they announced this 4-woman tournament to crown this title, that we were like, yo, we got to get Mercedes and Willow in the final. And once we did, that crowd let you know how much they wanted this match, where they're giving the women a standing ovation. They're giving them a round of applause for at least like 2-3 minutes. Like, they were giving both Mercedes and Willow their flowers. Granted, both women had wrestled earlier in the match, so Mercedes wasn't coming in 100%, neither was Willow, but that crowd was so ready for this. And even I was at home ready for this. Like, yo, this is the actual dream match. And boy, did they deliver with the time that they were given up until Mercedes got injured. Damn injuries. But that's the name of the game. It's like watching a basketball game and all of a sudden, you know, someone turns their ankle the wrong way and now you lose LeBron for the rest of the game. Or someone lands wrong and now Jason Tatum's out with a knee injury. This is exactly what happened here, where you had a banger of a match with Mercedes and Willow, and all of a sudden Mercedes takes a tumble to the outside, comes back in, continues the match, and is like on one foot. And he's like, yo, what's wrong with Mercedes? Did she is she selling, or did she really like take a bad bump outside and mess up her ankle? And then you find out that she can't even put weight on her ankle. She's working on one leg. Allegedly, they called an audible at the end, and you find out after the match, like, yeah, Mercedes really hurt her ankle. So get well soon. Well wishes to Mercedes Moné. Heal up, because we gotta run this back, because to bring it back to the match, Willow took advantage. She's like, I don't care if you're injured, I'm trying to win. And boy, did she ever. 1, 2, 3, and New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Women's Champion, Willow Nightingale. Round of applause, because she did the damn thing. She beat one of the greatest women's wrestlers alive and really staked her claim as like, yo, I am here. I now have this title. And salute to Willow, man, because she really deserved it. She put on a banger of a match earlier in the night, and she put on a banger of a match at the end, to where that's my match recommendation. Mercedes Moné versus Willow Nightingale. Even though Mercedes gets injured at the end, it's still worth watching because it was still fucking good. So let's get to what I rate this bad boy. The mic scale is as follows. If I give a show 5 mics, that means this show was a classic. It is probably show of the year, or in contention for show of the year. So many great things on this show that I couldn't find one thing wrong. I probably have more than one match recommendations. Highly, highly, highly recommend. Pull it up. If I give a show 4 mics, that means the show was very good. It delivered on a lot of key things. There's probably 1 or 2 things to nitpick, but overall, a solid show, worth watching when you have the time. Definitely a highly recommended match. If I give a show 3 mics, that means the show was solid. There was some good and there was some bad, but overall it's right in the middle where it's solid. If you have some time, pull it up and go check out the match recommendation. If I give a show 2 mics, that means this show needed some work. There's probably 1 or 2 things that really stand out, but the rest of it is kind of skippable. So if you want to watch it, I would go pull up just the 1 or 2 things that I suggest. Otherwise, I wouldn't rock with this. And if I give a show 1 mic, that means this show was trash. Basura. Get this shit all the way out of here. This was, I struggled to find one positive thing on the show. This is a hard skip, and do better. So I sat down and watched New Japan Pro Wrestling Resurgence from Long Beach, California. And what I give this show on a scale of 1 to 5 mics is, I give this 4 mics. This show was very good. With New Japan shows, they start slow, but they pick up. And then once they hit the middle, they hit another gear and they take off, and they keep this energy for the rest of the show. So I give this a 4 mics. This was very good. There were like 1 or 2 things that I found wasn't really my thing. The Hikuleo KENTA match, I was a little critical of, but it was still like a solid match that they beat the crap out of each other, and it's still worth watching. The women's matches delivered, all 3 of them. The Ospreay match was really good. The 6-man tag match was really good. The Juice street fight was very solid. Really, very, very good show. Congrats, New Japan. Y'all did the damn thing. So, 4 mics. If you guys got the $20, $25 to pull this up on New Japan World, I would suggest so. Again, you got 3 women's matches. Mercedes and Willow closes the show. Very highly recommend. So, New Japan Pro Wrestling, 4 mics. But like, subscribe, and share this video. Where you can find me. You can find me on all social media platforms at It's JustinRitch. You can find me Wednesday nights on Twitch for Those Wrestling Girls Fan Club, TWGFanClub, where we talk things of wrestling, things of social media, and everything that the fan club actually wants to discuss with myself, Queen PR, Brian H. Waters, and Seindole B. This week we will be discussing Dana Brooke and giving Dana Brooke her much deserved flowers, because a lot of people don't really give Dana Brooke her flowers and show her the appreciation of being a women's wrestler and someone that's been in WWE for many years. And we don't really give her that same notoriety that we give a lot of other wrestlers. So we're going to give her flowers this week. You can also find me Tuesday nights on Twitter Spaces for Turnbuckle Talk with Mimi and Corey, where we talk all things wrestling around 6:35 p.m. You can catch me from time to time on True Hill Heat Sports and True Hill Heat Wrestling. Both of those channels are located on YouTube, where we talk sports, wrestling, and all that fun stuff. Your boy was just on Monday night talking Monday Night Raw while catching the last of the Lakers and Nuggets game 4. So, we here, we outside, we active. Congrats to Willow Nightingale. Rest easy, heal up, and get strong. Take care of yourself, Mercedes Moné. We'll see you soon. And on that note, peace.